The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Mike Florio went up and in on Jets owner Woody Johnson for reportedly meddling with Aaron Glenn. Is Florio right? We'll talk about that with Matt O'Leary and, of course, break down the latest with the Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
I let the organization down, and I let the players down, and that burns me. It really does. This season's on me, and we're going to work our ass off to get this shit exactly where it needs to be.
A new chapter for the Jets has started. Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji are tasked with shaping the future of this franchise. Will they be the ones to finally get it right? We will be here for every step of the journey on the Jake Asman Show, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go, Jet fans. Welcome in, everybody. Click the thumbs up button. Make sure you, of course, are subscribed to the channel. We are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. A lot going on with the New York Jets, and we say hello to our guy, Matt O'Leary, who joins us now in his weekly spot. Matt, how we feeling? Combine's next week. A lot of rumblings about what the Jets should do or won't do, and it's the offseason. This is what we do best.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a relatively quiet week this week, which is rare for the New York Jets in the offseason. But with the Combine next week, fully expect to hear a lot of reports, rumors, and all that fun stuff.
We don't know the exact day that both Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn will speak. They could stack them and do them back-to-back like they did last year. They could do one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday. As soon as we get the official announcement, we will let you know. Here's the question I have for you just based off of that. What's the biggest question that you'd want to ask either Aaron Glenn or Darren Muji when they speak for the first time since the season ended?
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, and you're going to get chalk answers, so it's kind of tough, I feel like, to come up with the perfect question, but I'd be most curious about their plan at quarterback. And we're going to get the coach speak answer, right? You know, leave no stone unturned. We'll look at the draft. We'll look at free agency. But that's what I'm most curious about, is to see what direction they're going to end up going here at quarterback. And I'm wondering if we find anything out next week with, you know, all the media in one spot, all the teams together. If it's, the Jets checked in on this guy who's with, insert team here kind of a thing. So I don't know if we're going to get like an answer that'll really satisfy, but that's what I'm really most curious about.
If you're watching live right now, make sure that you submit a super chat if you got a question for Matt or myself to answer. Those are guaranteed to cut the line and get on the show. We'll do some calls coming up a little bit later. But, Matt, we start with some interesting comments here from NBC Sports NFL insider Mike Florio on his show, PFT Live. He was discussing how the Jets seemingly were going to hire Wink Martindale as their DC. And then, according to Rich Cimini, a meeting happened at Woody Johnson's home in Palm Beach. And then all of a sudden, that meeting with Woody and Aaron Glenn led to Aaron Glenn now calling the plays for the Jets defense. Here's Florio talking about that. We'll play it and then react. Here's, again, Mike Florio on PFT Live.
Woody Johnson, the owner of the team, has been the common thread for 25, 26 years of dysfunction in New York. Yeah, they made it to the AFC Championship somehow in back-to-back seasons under Rex Ryan. They haven't been to the playoffs since 2010. The fact that Aaron Glenn has fired so many of the coaches that he hired just a year ago, that was a sign that his buyout probably saved him $40-45 million to not coach the team, probably saved him from getting fired after 1 year. And now, beyond having to make a massive overhaul to his coaching staff, this story, and Rich Cimini of ESPN.com crystallized it recently, and we wrote about it at PFT on Wednesday. The idea that Wink Martindale had a couple of interviews with Aaron Glenn to be the next defensive coordinator of the team. At the first interview, the impression was he gets the keys to the defense. He runs his system. He does his thing. He calls the plays. Second interview, well, it's not going to be that way. And the takeaway, and this echoes reporting that popped up a couple of weeks ago. The notion that Woody Johnson may have said to Aaron Glenn, hey, you're a defensive coach. You were hired because of your success with the Lions defense. You run the defense. You call the plays. I mean, you already fired Steve Wilkes during the 2025 season. This time around, you're not going to delegate. You're not going to be the CEO of the team. You're going to be the head coach, and you're going to run the defense, and you're going to call the defensive plays. And it just feels like it's not going to go well. Not that that's a risky proposition. When has things gone well for the Jets in recent years? But this one is just lining up already to be a problem. And Glenn, and look, the buyout will be around $30 million after the 2026 season. But, you know, if you're having misgivings about the guy you hired, and this goes back to something that I learned years ago, if you've made a mistake, you got two choices. You can double down or you can admit it. Admitting it, that's the easiest path back to normal. Doubling down just complicates everything. And who knows? Maybe this is exactly what the Jets need. Maybe this will bring out the best in Aaron Glenn. Maybe he'll be the coach of the year. But the circumstances are far from ideal. The overhaul in the coaching staff, the inability to hire the guy that he may have wanted, to let that guy run the defense so Aaron Glenn can be free to coach the whole team. By all indications, he's not allowed to do it because the boss said you're not doing it. And it'll be interesting to see what the players think of the boss when the next wave of NFLPA report cards is published to the players and then inevitably leaked to someone in the media.
You know, the leak is definitely coming on that, Matt. That is 100% certain. Here's the thing, though. A lot of what Florio is saying there, I don't disagree with. We know Woody's been an atrocious owner, but I also don't think Woody Johnson is necessarily wrong for saying, if this is true to Aaron Glenn, hey, man, paying you $12.5 million a year, reportedly, you call the defense and we'll let you spend big money on an offensive coordinator of your choosing because you got rid of Engstrand as well and you really wanted Frank Reich. So I don't think that's crazy because, again, Woody is paying Steve Wilkes, who was Aaron Glenn's hire, could have hired anyone he wanted. He went with Wilkes and it was so bad he got rid of him before the year was even over. Woody signed off on that. Like, I don't blame Woody for being like, wait a second. It was terrible with Wilkes. You're a defensive guy. The head coach of the team that just won the Super Bowl, Mike McDonald, he called plays on defense. Saleh said his biggest regret with the Jets was not taking a bigger role as the play caller for the Jet defense. Like, it doesn't shock me that Woody's like, what exactly do you do, Aaron Glenn, if you're not going to call the defense and you need to hire Wink Martindale, who wasn't very good his most recent year in the NFL, was out of football, and then has been at Michigan where he was okay at best the last few years. So I hate having to be the one to like almost defend Woody on this particular instance, but I don't think it's the craziest thing in the world for Glenn to call the defense and then for Woody to say, hey, we'll spend money on Reich. We're not going to spend money on Wink and Reich.
Yeah, I think that philosophy, makes sense, or that theory makes sense. There's been a few people who have said that, between the Wink Martindale situation, that it was on the 1 yard line and they're almost finished, but maybe it was Woody Johnson who stepped in and was like, I'm not paying a high-end defensive coordinator money and a high-end offensive coordinator money. You're a defensive guy, and like you said, you call the plays and we'll spend the money on offense and build out that staff. Is that what's best for the team in the long run? I don't know. I don't think Aaron Glenn is on that same level as a defensive play caller as the two guys you mentioned, and Robert Saleh and Mike McDonald. But that's his background. He is a defensive coordinator. And there have been, coaches in Jets history who have called plays as defensive coordinators and have had success. So, I think at the end of the day, they did upgrade their staff. How they got there was kind of, all backwards, and it wasn't the cleanest break for a lot of these guys, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on Aaron Glenn. We've talked about it a bunch, but there's no more excuses. You can't say, oh, it's, Wink's defense or, it was Steve Wilkes' defense. This is your defense, man. So he's got to sink or swim at this point to get a third year.
Yeah, and the big thing, too, with all this, like, we knew Aaron Glenn was in trouble. You don't fire half your assistant coaches, including both coordinators, if you're not in trouble. So that's almost like stating the obvious there from Florio that, it's not going to work out. That was part of the reason why many, including myself, argued just rip the Band-Aid off now. If Glenn ever figured it out, he'd be one of the biggest historic outliers we've seen in the history of football for the last 25 years, if you just look at what happened from a data standpoint. So, look, they didn't, and now maybe we could spin it positively. If the Jets stink and aren't any good, there's in all likelihood not going to be an NFL record 10 openings a year from now. You got 3 first-round picks. You're maybe equipped, positioned properly to get a top-of-the-line coach with the capital to get the quarterback with that coach. Like, that's how you could spin it positive now that they've already basically have said they're moving forward with Aaron Glenn as the coach.
Yeah, even the worst case scenario for Aaron Glenn, at least, is that they are just as bad as what they were this past year, and they're 3-win football team. In next year's draft class, if they're picking number 2 overall with 3 wins, there's going to be more than one quarterback in this class. It's not going to just be Fernando Mendoza and then a big drop off after that. And like you said, there's 3 first-round picks. They're going to have cap money to spend. And there likely isn't going to be that many openings. Hopefully there's like half of those, or maybe even a little bit less than that. And that's where you can go out and make a big splash. I hate that, it's only February and we were talking about a potential coaching search almost a year from now. But that's, the unfortunate reality of the situation. When you get off to as bad of a start as Aaron Glenn did, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you and a lot of eyeballs on you. So like I said, he has a lot to prove. But if they don't play well this year, then he's out, and they're probably blowing this whole thing up anyway with their 3 first-round picks in 2027.
Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. How about a gifted membership? Phantom Green and White, the first to gift a membership during today's show. Hit the Jet chant for him. This live show you're watching, we raffle away a Jets jersey. I'm rocking a Joe Namath shirt right now. You want a Namath jersey? How about Joe Klecko, Curtis Martin, Wayne Corbett, Darrelle Revis, Nick Mangold, or Keyshawn Johnson? You pick the player you want, and we raffle away a Jets jersey of your choosing at the end of our show. Gift the membership to enter, or do what Delray Doc did. Send in a $10 super chat or higher to qualify. Raffle tickets. He starts us off with this. My favorite show is the Jake Asman Show. Thank you for providing wonderful information about my favorite team. Delray Doc, thank you for watching. We appreciate you. And I know I don't want to speak for Matt, but I think Matt's grateful that his fan base tunes into all his content as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. We couldn't do this without the fan base supporting us. And, it's remarkable that there's so many passionate fans willing to watch content about this awful football team in February. Imagine if this team was ever good.
Oh man, one day. Delray Doc says, worried that Woody and EG will mortgage the future. Well, I don't know if this would be Woody doing it. I do wonder what the plan is at quarterback, Matt, because if it's not the free agent route and it's like, oh, we want to trade for Mac Jones, I don't want them to trade a 2nd-round pick for Mac Jones. That to me would be too risky of a move when the coaching staff, if I was betting my life on it, is not here a year from now.
Yeah, it is. And you have 4 top 50 picks. Do you want to spend a top 50 pick on what's likely to be a bridge quarterback? I'm kind of with you on that. And I also worry with Mac Jones, what he would look like away from Kyle Shanahan in that offense. Like, he obviously wasn't great in New England after his first year, wasn't fantastic in Jacksonville either. And from the 49ers perspective, like, Brock Purdy gets hurt all the time, and they're a team that's going for it and trying to win a Super Bowl. They can't afford to have a season get derailed if Brock Purdy gets hurt again. And at least, for them, like, Mac could come in and play in this offense. So I think I would keep Mac Jones if I was the 49ers.
Super chats always cut the line. Common Country in the house. Things won't change until we find a franchise QB. Yeah. And look, I don't know if they could find one this offseason. So to me, best case scenario is build the team up for whoever the big swing at quarterback potentially is in 2027.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this comment is so on the money. Things won't change until we find a franchise quarterback. That's absolutely the truth. They've been searching for one for a long time. I don't know if they're finding that answer this year. My best guess is it's going to be some veteran and a swing at the quarterback at some point. I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to be a first-round pick, but I do think they take someone at some point in this draft.
Hit the like button if you're just joining us. We're reacting to some interesting comments from Mike Florio on his show, talking about Woody Johnson meddling with Aaron Glenn over the Wink Martindale situation. Again, I'm not losing sleep over Wink Martindale not being the Jets DC, but I mean, it is what it is at this point. Just to remind people, tomorrow we have our weekly raffle. So we're going to give away on the show a Joe Namath signed jersey, a signed Kenny O jersey, a signed Vinny T jersey, and a signed Chad Pennington helmet. So if you want any of those prizes, you have this show and the afternoon show to enter for your chance to win. Another gifted membership coming through from longtime listener Tom Roseman. Tom, you are the man.
Give us something, anything. Yeah. We're a squirrel trying to get a nut.
Well, Tom, you gave us something. 585 more is now a channel member, courtesy of Tom Roseman. Comments, questions, and your super chats. We'll cut the line. Matt, in terms of Breece Hall, the Jets now could put the franchise tag on him if they wanted to. They have until, I think it's March 9th is the last day that they could tag a player. So from now until then, they could do it if they wanted to. Your thoughts on Breece's future? Do you think they should use the tag on Breece?
Yeah, I would franchise tag Breece Hall. I think losing him for nothing would be really disappointing. They decided not to trade him at the trade deadline because they didn't like the return that they would be getting, which is fine. But in that case, I don't want to just have him leave in free agency because, with the comp pick formula, with the amount of money the Jets have in free agency, I think they're going to spend enough to where they would cancel out whatever pick they would get for Breece Hall in the comp pick formula. So I would franchise tag him. I know 14 million or, a little bit over 14 million is a lot for a running back, but just because you franchise a player, that doesn't mean that you can't then come to an agreement on a long-term extension. Or even if you franchise tag him and it seems like he doesn't want to be here, then okay, you have the tag and trade option. You could trade him somewhere where he's interested in signing a contract, and then that team can negotiate with him, and at least you get something back in return for him. So to me, it makes perfect sense. I don't really see a reason why you wouldn't franchise tag Breece Hall.
What's the plan if you just let him go for nothing? Why didn't you just take the 4th round pick that Kansas City reportedly had on the table?
Yeah, exactly. And look, there's options out there available. Tyler Allgeier's been a name that's been brought up a lot recently. Obviously, Kenneth Walker's hitting free agency, Rico Dowdle, Travis Etienne, guys like that. So there's options if the Jets do lose Breece Hall, but it's more about just the roster building philosophy. Losing him for nothing and not getting an asset back is what I have an issue with.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. What did you really do if you just you go out there and you don't trade him? You say you're going to build your team around him. They talked about him in present tense being on the team at the end of the season presser, and now all of a sudden he's gone again. The Jets have changed their mind and have changed their plans so many times. I guess I can't be surprised at this point, but that to me would be a big mistake if you just let him go for nothing. And I'd use the legit franchise tag on him, not the transition tag, because the transition tag, if someone offers him a deal, then all of a sudden, all right, well, if you don't match it, he's gone. You can't trade him on the transition tag. I want to use the franchise tag. It shows good faith in the fact that you could pay him an extra $3 million on that, and you keep him. And if someone wants to make a trade for him, you still can. But if not, you have him for a year, and you have all the cap space. So the extra $3 million to Breece, I'm willing to do that to keep a good player in the building and not create another hole.
Yeah, exactly. And with the Jets cap situation, the extra $3 million isn't a huge deal. If they were pressed up against the cap and really fighting for it, maybe it's a different story. But even with all the dead money, the Jets are projected to lead the league in dead money for the 2026 season. They still are going to have nearly $90 million in cap space. So, at the end of the day, I don't think it's a huge deal if he even was to play on the 1-year, $14 million deal. But in a perfect world, I'd like to sign him to a contract extension similar to the one that Kyron Williams got, where it's I think it's around $11 million a year over 3 years, but how it's structured really more like a 2-year deal. I think that fits with the Jets timeline and bringing in a young quarterback because, as we know, running backs are really impactful for young quarterbacks, and especially one that could catch the football out of the backfield.
How about this in the chat? Peg and Artie gifting 5 memberships. Now, Artie was in the hospital, Matt, earlier this week. He had a mild heart attack. I believe he is now officially home. Artie called in the other day and gave us an update. Artie, a true legend, a day after having a heart attack, calling into a Jet YouTube show to give Jet takes and check in with the community. He won a signed Garrett Wilson helmet on the show that day. And guess what? He's paying it forward. 5 gifted memberships from Peg and Artie.
And here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
I might have a heart attack if the Jets ever figure things out.
Yeah, glad to hear that Artie is back home and feeling better. Best of luck on the recovery. But yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I might be right there with you if the Jets ever turn this around and play in a meaningful football game again.
Would be nice. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. There were reports that the Jets will be aggressive this offseason, Matt. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense, right? I think there's, like I just said, they have a lot of money to spend. Their defense was an abject disaster last year. I think, they could be aggressive without completely blowing the future. And I know we talked about not wanting to trade capital and give up, top 50 picks for what would be a bridge quarterback. But I think there's a world where you could be aggressive and not get into the silliness. Like you don't have to go full 2019 Mike McCagnon and blow, the linebacker market completely out of the water and bring in Le'Veon Bell and you sign Jermaine Johnson to this monster deal. I think there's a world where they could be aggressive and fill in starters, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I think they're going to bring in a veteran linebacker. I also think they bring in a veteran safety and probably a defensive lineman at some point too. And that's not to mention all the picks that they have. I think they can get creative and even move around on the draft board to get even more assets. So they have a lot of assets in both the NFL draft and with the cap dollars that they have. And I would expect them to use it coming off a 3-win season.
Makes sense. Look, they have so many needs. I just wonder, are they going to spread it out or are they going to go after some like big fishes like Tyler Linderbaum is the hot name we've been discussing?
Yeah, I would love Linderbaum on this team. I think he's, obviously elite as a center. He'd probably blow that market up, but man, that offensive line would be really special with him. If you are going to splurge, that's the kind of player that I'd want to splurge on, right? Like he's in his mid-20s in the prime of his career and would really elevate what's, in my opinion, an already pretty good offensive line and bring them up a tier, which, they got to be good at something, this team.
I got some exciting news. You talk about paying it forward. Peg and Artie want Indy Jets to be the winner of the jersey raffle, should their name be drawn. Indy Jets also dealing with some health stuff, so it's a very nice gesture by Peg and Artie. We will make sure that those memberships go towards another OG listener of the show, Indy Jets. All right, let's talk quarterback options now, Matt. As we sit here a couple weeks out from free agency, break down what you would like to see the Jets do at the most important position in sports.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't have a easy no-brainer option. I think Kirk Cousins would make a lot of sense for the Jets, assuming that he's released. I like you mentioned, I don't know if trading for a veteran quarterback and giving up the assets is the route for this team to go. But a Kirk Cousins, Marcus Mariota tier quarterback, I think, is the route this team is most likely to end up with. I'm also not really a huge fan of like the reclamation projects. Like Anthony Richardson's name has gotten brought up a few times and obviously was a high first round pick, but I just don't have the faith in this team being the one that's going to, take in this broken quarterback and get the most out of them. So to me, I wouldn't really look to trade for that, even though you would argue that he's a young player, maybe has the highest ceiling. I think the Jets are going to go on the safer route with a veteran that's not going to be crazy costly, but raises the floor of the quarterback room.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Jake West says, if we sign Cousins, could we sign him to the vet minimum since the Falcons would still be paying him? How does it work? No, because he redid his contract. So a lot of his guaranteed money has already been paid out to him. And he would just be like a free agent. It wouldn't be Atlanta paying him off. They restructured his deal. At least that's how I've understood it. You'd have to just pay Kirk Cousins, who's been a business Hall of Famer in his career as far as making a ton of money in contracts. You'd have to pay him, probably the most money to get him to take your gig over another one.
Yeah, I would think so. At least there's not a ton of spots that would be offering him a starting quarterback role. Maybe like a Pittsburgh, right? Depending on what happens with Aaron Rodgers. But, a lot of these other spots would be a competition. Like I've seen, him being linked to go back to the Minnesota Vikings, but would he want to do that with JJ McCarthy there? And I don't know how, the relationship is after things ended. They decided to move on. But, I think the benefit that the Jets have is they don't really have anybody else. So, he would be a no doubt starter. And yeah, they'd have to pay a little bit of money, but like we said, they have a ton of money to spend. So, and at 38 years old, I don't think he's getting a massive long-term deal. This is probably a short, 2-year kind of deal for him.
Super chats, cut the line. Let's go to this one from Bino. Thank you, Bino, for supporting the show.
The Jet fans getting a little crazy.
1 or 2 year deals in free agency. No way, in my opinion, Woody Gibbs long-term on Glenn guys with his status so uncertain. Well, I mean, typically football contracts, like 2 or 3 of it at the most are guaranteed. So nothing's going to be that long-term. That's just how it goes. But you got to let these guys spend some money on players they want. So they're going to be aggressive. It's just a matter of, if you really got to pay the jet tax, does it make sense to be that aggressive on one guy or spread it out to a couple different guys?
Yeah, and no, exactly. And I get where Bino is coming from on not wanting to go crazy long-term on the Glenn guys because you don't know if he's going to be here. But, at the same time, I think, you have to go to 3 years often on these free agency deals. And, with how a lot of them are structured on the 3-year deals, they usually have an out after year 2. So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if, a new staff is coming in and they maybe have some holdovers for a year of Glenn guys, and then they get their own guys in the building the following year. That's usually how this thing tends to go. But, in order for them to sign some of these guys in free agency, I think that's in order to be competitive, you're going to have to go to that 3rd year. I don't think you're going to get a ton of 1 or 2 year deals.
Ozzy says Linderbaum would be awesome. It would, because then imagine an O-line all locked in of Linderbaum and then the 2 bookend tackles of Olu and Membu with Tippmann. Like, whoever the quarterback is, you're setting them up for success. And then beyond just this year, 2027, week 1, quarterback Arch Manning or whoever, they're set up with the best O-line the Jets will have on a field together since Mark Sanchez in 2009.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And you'd be setting up, like you said, you'd be setting up your quarterback for, the most amount of success. They have a wide receiver 1 in Garrett Wilson. If you bring back Breece Hall, you feel pretty good about that running back room as well. And if that's your offensive line, again, talk about raising the floor of an offense. I think that's exactly what you'd be doing.
Super chats, cut the line. Pat Godek in the Asmaniac raffle for 2. Let's go.
And here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
In a year from now, what in the season would you want to see that make you be all right with keeping Glenn? Example, 8 to 9 wins, quarterback situation looks good, defense looks solid, etc. Love both your shows. Well, thank you, Pat. I think you nailed it. All right. They win 8 games, which would be more than they won in any year in now over a decade. The last time the Jets won more than 7 games was the 2015 season when they went 10-6 and missed the playoffs the last week of the year. Obviously, if there's some sort of quarterback situation that we feel good about, you might even ignore just what the total win total says and base it on that. And yeah, if Glenn taking over the defense drastically improves things, that will help him as well. So I think you basically nailed it, Pat, in your super chat. If those things happen, that helps Aaron Glenn be here for a 3rd year. There's no doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of it's going to be eye test. I don't know if there's one specific thing where it's like, if they get to this win total, that's what it is, right? And I think I really like how Pat laid this out. 8 to 9 wins, which is very optimistic for this team. But if they figure out the quarterback and you'll feel pretty good about the quarterback and the defense, I'm not saying they got to go from 30 all the way up to 1, but if they take a step up and are like middle of the pack defensively, then I think you could sell yourself on them improving and this staff improving and getting a 3rd year. It's going to take a lot, obviously, but under this laid out situation, I do think they'd get 2027.
Question from J-Quest. Could you see trading for Jameis Winston? I would love that.
Hey, Jameis, would you come to the Jets? They might need a quarterback. Yeah. Jets, Jets. Ladies and gentlemen, our exclusive interview with now friend of the show, Jameis Winston.
I think we got a chance, Matt. What do you think?
From that interview, I think he did a great job trying to recruit him. So I appreciate that. I like Jameis. Similar to what I said with Mac Jones, from the Giants' perspective, you have a young quarterback who, got banged up a couple times. I don't know if I'd be trading Jameis Winston if I'm the Giants. I think he'd be more valuable as a backup.
It just depends on what the Giants would want, because he's a good backup. He's under contract for 1 more year. But as much as I love Jameis, I don't want to trade a 2nd-round pick for him. I don't have a 3rd-round pick. And at that point, if it's like the Giants want that, I understand why they'd ask for that. He's a really good backup. Like, he'd have a huge market if he was available. Like, I would not be in any rush to trade him if I'm the Giants unless I'm blown away with an offer, and I don't know who's blowing you away for Jameis Winston.
No, and like he's on a very reasonable contract too. His cap hit next year is $5 million for the Giants, and I believe the trading team would be like 3.95 million, so under 4 million. I think you'd have to give up a decent amount to get him for it. You consider just that he's a good backup and one of the better backups in the league, but on top of that, on a team-friendly contract, it would be costly.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Let's get to your calls now, shall we?
It's Mad Max ain't yapping about Jets. That boy, he's jamming. He's slamming. Freaking dancing. Wall smashing. I'm Jake Asman. If Mad Max ain't ever stopped yapping, that boy, he still be dancing. Then call Jake Asman. He got an orange wall.
What's up, Matt Larry? What's up, Jake? What's up, you guys? So let's talk about a couple points. So Matt Larry, what's your thoughts on keeping Breece Hall? We have to keep Breece Hall.
Good job.
He's one of the better running backs in the National Football League. He's probably one of the worst deals I've ever seen to get rid of Breece Hall. And then my second topic is the 3 sports takes this week. So March Madness is coming up. Michigan's going to win the title. That's what I think. And then for the NBA, you know the Knicks have been doing better. And then for NFL, free agency's coming up. And then my final point before I go is as Maniac Madness is coming up, everyone.
Can you hear me?
Honestly, don't make yourselves don't make myself look bad to make yourselves look good. Honestly, because I'll be smoking that competition this year. But honestly, as Maniac, don't make me look bad. Don't make me look bad to make yourselves look good. That's what I say for as Maniac Madness. Go Jets.
Matt, your thoughts?
Was that a pre-recorded video? That was
that was Mad Max being Mad Max.
Incredible stuff. That was a lot to take in. I'm with him though on the Breece Hall point. I didn't know if Can You Hear Me was him or a drop. That was fantastic. Yeah, I wouldn't want to let Breece Hall leave for nothing. I agree with Mad Max on that.
Where does Mad Max get seated by the committee in Asmaniac Madness, folks? Where should he be? People need answers. Asmaniac Madness is upon us. Selection Sunday is about to be finalized. It's looking like it will be Sunday, March 1st for the bracket reveal show. So we are going to have the full tournament brackets announced. You'll have a couple days to fill it out before we start with our playing games. That's right. We expanded the field from 64 to 68, Matt. So when you fill out your bracket, you'll have to account for a couple 16 seeded matchups for the right to probably get mollywomps by the 1 seeds this year.
I'm looking forward to it. It was a blast last year. I filled out a bracket, so I'll have to do it again this year.
Ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. All right, more of your calls right now, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of callers that everyone is curious where they're going to be seated.
Don't let go of the rope. What rope are you talking about? This whole team looks like it's shot to shit. Who the hell you think you are? I am. It's barely early in the morning, and I just had my hot shower in the morning.
It's 9:30 by you. It's not that early.
Oh, so that don't mean Jack squatting diddly and cuddly duddly. Hey, I'm heading out in about 30 minutes. I'm going over to Menards.
What are you going to buy?
I get the peanuts for the little squirrels. It's the best time to do it. After all, February is known for a short month, so I might as well do it one more round, and then after that, we'll see what happens.
Hey, Common Country says, Beast, you seem healthier today.
After 5 days of having the worst cold I've ever had, let's see. Vitamins. Ibuprofen, NyQuil. Oh, that was not fun. And a lot of hot, spicy stuff. See, always remember, keep a little of this, keep a little of this. You're all good. You'll be clear.
Is it true you drink hot sauce like it's water?
I'm used to it. No pain, no game.
Can you drink some hot sauce for us?
I don't think so. In the words of the great Al Borland, I don't think so.
Prove your toughness, Beast. Drink some hot sauce for the people here.
Yeah, shot.
Hey, as Al Borland once said,
I don't care what Al, whoever said
Thank
what.
you very much
Drink
for
some
your
hot
time.
sauce. Drink it. Drink it. Drink it. Drink it. Beast just logged off. Unbelievable.
Oh.
I was about to speak to him. Like I was going to speak to him.
In my God voice. Matt, did you want to see Beast drink hot sauce?
I did. I think it would have been great content to see him do a shot of hot sauce.
I agree. I'm Mad Max. Can you hear me? Max? Can you hear me? Good job.
We don't have Mad Max either. All right. He called back in. Thought he was there. Let's see. Bino says, One Punch Dave Briga is ready to cut down the nets this March, armed with a W-2, time card, and perfect attendance. I like that call. Dave Briga, could he win the whole thing? There's also a guy on the line that I think a lot of people in their brackets, when they fill it out, are going to have winning the whole thing.
Just so long as I'm not in the same bracket as Mad Max, I want part of that action. That stream of consciousness. Who can match that? Who can match that energy? No one can.
No one.
Yeah, I think my feelings on Mike Florio are well known. He takes pot shots at the Jets, but he's not wrong. Would he probably put his foot down and said, we're spending money hand over fist to pay these assistants that you brought in. We have to kind of set some limits, spend the money on the offense. You take care of the defense. It makes total sense. As far as some of these quarterback options, I think I'm going to throw myself on something sharp if we were to bring in, if we were to spend a second round pick to bring in Jameis Winston. I would be beside myself. That would just reek of Aaron Glenn trying to save his job. I don't know what we do at quarterback, to be quite honest with you. We kind of have to either pair a guy like Mariota with a guy we luck into in the end of the first or top of the second round with Simpson or an Nussmeier, or I don't know what we do. As far as bringing in a young guy, this quarterback class is kind of for shit. So
it really is. It's amazing. It just worked out where there's truly only one guy that everyone's like, yep, clearly top 10 pick.
Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that makes me very wary of what Glenn's going to do when I see these, plans of being aggressive. And I would love Tyler Linderbaum, but I don't know if it's the best use of the money. Maybe if Greg Roman was here, I feel like we'd be able to, impress our will upon people with the run game, especially if we take Breece and brought him back, and then drafted another starting guard sometime in the first two rounds. To me, that is the identity of Jets football, is great defense and be able to run the ball. But, we haven't been able to do either of those things and sometimes forget about ever passing the ball. We've never really been able to do that with any effectiveness since maybe Vinny. So, and before that, even Pennington was a game manager. We've never really had, I mean, Kenny O, things were wide open. Namath, things were wide open, but until we get a quarterback, and that's probably, hopefully, God willing, next year, look for more of the same, struggling on offense, and maybe what we're going to try and do is pull the defense up, and establish this run game, you know, Linderbaum, to me, that's kind of a luxury item. Like, I feel like we should be able to bring in the 4th or 5th round a center prospect to compete with Myers for the job. Do you guys disagree with that?
No, I think you should be able to. You know, I think the difference with Linderbaum, like, he's one of the top centers in the league. If you're taking a developmental guy, I don't know in the 4th or 5th round if that guy's going to have the same ceiling that Linderbaum does, but can they find a competent starter? Yeah, I think you could find a starting caliber center at that point.
I think in the 4th round you can definitely get a guy that can come in and compete with Myers. That's what I want, right? Like, I want to be able to because that's where you find those guys, right? You find centers and safeties in the 4th round. Especially at the top of the round, we should be able to find a guy that can come in and have these guys say, if you want this job, go out and get it. That's basically what I had. I'm really looking forward to hearing from the combine. Looking forward to seeing some action here in free agency. As far as Maniac Madness goes, keep me away from Mad Max committee. I don't want any part of that guy. Thanks for your time, guys.
Kyle, great call. And it's totally fair on Linderbaum. The argument for signing him would be you have a lot of money. You could get the best center, arguably in the league, young center in the league. And when you make the big investment in your quarterback, it's the best offensive line situation the Jets will put on a field since the last time they were any good with Mark Sanchez 15 years ago. Like, that's the argument. Yes, you could spend the money on a couple other players, but Olu's on a rookie deal.
Yep.
Tippman's still on his rookie deal for another year. You have, obviously, Membu going into year 2 of his rookie deal. Like, you have the flexibility to do it if that's the move they wanted to make.
Yeah, and they're not going to have that flexibility in a couple years from now, like you said, with some of these other guys who are reaching towards the end of their rookie contract. So if there was ever a time to do it, like I said, too, Linderbaum's in his mid-20s. It's not like you're signing this guy who is an elite center and he's 31 years old and on the back 9 of his career. You'd be getting him in his prime. So that's one of the few rare exceptions to where I think you'd toss some serious cash around to get a guy like him in.
All right, pick number 2, Matt. What does your gut tell you right now the Jets would do with the number 2 overall selection?
Man, it's tough because there's no clear answer, but I think Arvell Reese is where I'm leaning right now. I think, he has an incredibly high ceiling. I think that the Jets, if they're likely to switch to a 3-4 defense, I think he makes a little bit more sense than, some of the other options out there, like a Reuben Bain. I think the names that have been brought up a lot have been Reese and Bailey, and I know Bailey has a ton of production, but I worry about if he's an every down player, similar to like Will McDonald, who, is a really good pass rusher, but has struggled against the run. And if you're drafting as a player number 2 overall, I think they got to be a well-rounded edge player. And I think Reese can be that for the Jets.
I really wonder if they take, let's say, Bailey at 2, what that means for Jermaine and Will McDonald. Do they trade one of them? Do they have all 3? That's my first thought there. I like Bailey. The idea that he's not great against the run, that does concern me a little bit. Now, some will push back and say, no, that's not true. I know Joe Blewett doesn't think he's very good against the run when we did the film review with him the other day. There's not an obvious number 2 pick here. So no matter what they do, fans will love it or hate it. It can be very split no matter what they do.
Yeah, and there's the ton of options, right? Like, I think those 3 names of Bain, Bailey, and Reese are the most likely, but I don't think you could rule out the Jets going with a Caleb Downs or even, the wide receiver and Carnell Tate. There's no clear number 2 option for the New York Jets, so it really depends on what their preference is. But at least with the defensive line guys, I really trust Carl Dunbar. So I think he'll be able to find someone that fits well in his system.
Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Let's see. Paul says between Bailey and McDonald, we'll have one complete player. Yeah,
not really. You'd have 2 pass rush specialists. You wouldn't have somebody against the run.
You're not wrong. Let's see. R.A. Chemnitz says, I doubt Linderbaum will want to play for us, and who could blame him? He might not, but money talks, man. Free agency, that's how it goes.
Yeah, it's all about the cash, right? How much you're willing to toss around in free agency. The Jets have a lot to spend. If he is to leave Baltimore, it's hard not to see him going with Harbaugh to the Giants, though.
Rick Kent writes, in any chance the Jets take Kiko's brother at 2? I mean, that would shock me because they don't need an offensive tackle.
That's the one position that I'm confident they won't take in the first round. Other than that, you could pretty much convince me that they can go any other way, but tackle, I don't see tackle.
Jeremiah Love, take him, says Peter Castro. I'm anti-running back.
Yeah, not in the first round. And he's a great player. He really, really is. But there's so many other needs on this team. I have a hard time taking one. I just don't think it moves the needle forward enough for you.
Yeah, I'm with you. I can't justify taking a running back when you have so many other needs. And you have Breece you could just bring back and then fill a need. Not create another hole, then to use one of your premium picks on a running back. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with you.
Indy says Myles Garrett didn't want to play for the Browns either till he did. He wanted to be paid like all these guys.
Correct. The money talks, and if you make Tyler Linderbaum the highest paid center in NFL history, then there's a good chance he's going to come here.
Right now, there's barely anyone on hold. So if you want to call in, now is the time. We got about 15 minutes left with Matt. Let's say hello to Dirty, who's next on our show today. What's up, Dirty?
What is going on? I will. I'm not sure if you're going to Indianapolis, but I will be there.
Wow, Dirty! I will be there.
Yeah, I couldn't get credentials to get into the certain spot. I remember I talked to you about trying to get those, but I wasn't able to. But we are still going to maintain our show and get everything rocking and rolling.
I'll tell you what you should do, Dirty. You should just show up in the convention center, and you can walk around and talk to people. You don't need to be credentialed. And a big thing you should do, just hang out by the Starbucks in the Marriott, and you'll just run into NFL people at their NFL person.
Well, I'm actually staying at the J-Dub.
Well, there you go.
Perfect.
Yeah. But I'll be honest with you, man. Like the whole need of the Jets, I think people need to get the weapon aspect out of their head. The wide receivers, the running backs. We really need to focus on what we lost, which is the defensive tackle. We still have Phillips. I forget what his contract's looking like, but it would be great if we can get another big dude that was inside that area. Defensive tackle. We can go Bain. We can do the linebacker thing if we want, but it's really got to be a linebacker that we are going to utilize to the absolute complete extent of what he can do. It can't just be he better be a linebacker that knows how to do absolutely everything if we're going to pick him at 2 overall. I really believe that. But on the other end, I really think that we should perhaps either take Bain and really get a defensive tackle with the 16th pick. And there's some really, really good tackles. Like Sonny Styles didn't really – I'm not saying Sonny Styles wasn't a good linebacker, but it was really because McDonald did all of the work for him to allow him to look like a really, really good linebacker. So I'm really looking at defense the first 2 picks, in my opinion. That's just me, though.
I don't hate it. Matt, if the Jets went double up on D at 2 and 16, your thoughts?
I think it makes a lot of sense. This is a defense that was atrocious a year ago. They have holes at all 3 levels on the defensive line, the linebackers, and secondary. So, yeah, it wouldn't shock me at all to see the Jets double up on defense with their first 2 picks.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it either if they went after a corner. You know, there's some really good corners coming out of here. But I just, you know, it sounds crazy, but I kind of want to just stay away from the offensive side. We have enough money. If we need to get somebody, we can probably get somebody. But I mean, obviously we got rid of some really, really good players, and we might have to tag somebody or restructure some stuff. But I mean, we always talk about build through the trenches, build through the trenches. Well, here's the opportunity to do it yet again. I hate saying it again, but if we're going to do it, we still have to do it the right way. We can't be doing it by, you know, I love Caleb Downs. I think he's great, but we couldn't stop the run for anything last year. We need to stop the run. That's just what a defense needs to do first before anything.
Good call, Dirty. I'll tell you what, I'll see you in Indy next week. Looking forward to it.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dirty, who hasn't taken a shower since the spring of 1997. Matt, your thoughts?
Disgusting. Take a shower, use some soap.
Your thoughts? Disgusting. Love that. Perfectly said. More calls here before we say goodbye to Matt. If you want in, there's only one man currently on hold, and he's a legend.
He thinks that Gorman needs to get a freaking job. This cowboy hates to see us maniacs complain. What they call him, one punch trigger. You need to get a job. What they call him, one punch trigger. The beast is on his ass. They call him one punch trigger. Has anyone seen Dean Mack? They call him one punch trigger. He'll only need one.
Jake, what's up? Matt, how are you?
Good.
Hey.
How's it going, Dave?
Pretty good. Taking a walk this morning. You guys caught me in the middle of climbing a hill, so I'm a little out of breath. How's things going? I heard Bino's calling. I'm ready for the Asmaniac madness. I'm pumped up.
I think you got a chance to cut down the nets, Dave.
I would like to compete. That's it. Hey, the higher I get, the better. One step at a time, right?
There you go. Perfect.
I believe in you, Dave.
Well, here we are. Here's where achievement happens. Anthracite country. Hey? That's what they used to... That's what provided energy for our country back at the turn of the century. Well, the 20th century, at least. You know? This is my country here. I don't know if you guys can see it. Anyway. I'm a PA guy. As you see by my hat, the old Penn State guy, not the current. A lot of talk about that Aller, you know. A lot of people I know that are Penn State fans, you know. After Warren left, they said he stunk, you know.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah.
Addison says achievement happens in the parking lot. Is that true?
What's that, a parking lot? This ain't no parking lot. This is country, man. It's a museum. That's where if I went inside, you could see stuff. Parking lots anywhere. Did achievement happen in a MetLife parking lot? Probably that's the only place. You know?
Well, you could ask Neil about that one. He might give you.
Yeah, Neil's good for the
This is what I'm gonna do to you all seasoned little bitches.
Anyway, okay, the Florio, you know, he just there was a little copy contact by him. I mean, you know, all that stuff. Oh, we was on Boy Green's last week, and we were talking about that whole situation with the front office. And we got down to the nitty gritties about this Axelrod and Jaime and all that stuff. But I said, it's a Boy Green. Actually, I says, do you know, does Woody actually own 100% of this team? Do we actually know that? And Boy Green started doing an investigation. He said, it's not, there's no acknowledgement of what his percentage is. I mean, does he
I
have?
think he does own 100% because there's been no news story of any other ownership group. Like with the Giants, you have Mara, you have Tisch for now, and then they sold part of it to the Cokers last year. They sold 10% of it.
Oh, they actually know that he owns 100% of the team. And these other people, I know Jaime, that guy does, all he does is, you know, crap on our fans with all the excessive costs and everything that he puts down. But about as far as his Axelrod goes, I mean, I just can't believe that this guy has no contacts at all in football. He actually looks to the influence of this Axelrod guy, a financial. I think he was an insurance guy or something. I try to find out some stuff. It seems like you can't find out too much information about this guy. You know.
Addison wrote in Brigga doing ballet in the parking lot with all these spins.
Well, if I had my skates on, I could show you some real spins,
yeah,
you know?
There we go.
But I don't. I don't have them. I don't have them here. The ice is gone now for pretty much. But,
big win by the U.S. yesterday, Dave. We're on to the semis.
It all reminds me. I was reviewing some stuff from the '80s. You know, the '80 Olympic team. I heard Jim Craig talking about a lot of things the other night.
You should watch.
And yeah, it brings up a lot. Brings up a lot of memories. You know, the past. I hope they go far. You know, so let's see what happens. We'd like to see them beat the Canadians. That's always intrigues me when we could beat them. You know,
absolutely.
You know, as far as the Soviet, you know, the old Russians. I mean, the rivalry is pretty much. Note all the Russian players that come over. The rivalry sort of subsided at that point. So that's pretty much gone, except for the conflict that normally exists around the world. But okay. So as far as the draft goes, I'm really not into it at this point. You know, I'm sort of like right now. I'm sort of like at a sabbatical 26 season. I really don't see a lot of hope. You know, with Glenn there. I mean, just It's very discouraging. It's very discouraging. You know, I'm just hoping one thing, and I want to see what Matt. When a push comes to shove, when they're going to pick these players for the upcoming draft and looking towards the future, who do you think is going to have more influence when it comes down to the final say, Muji or Glenn? Because that's going to mean everything for us going forward. Because if he's picking players to save his own rear end, we're cooked. You know, we're cooked.
Just don't let go of the rope.
I let go of that rope, baby. It's gone. There's no that rope is far gone. But Matt, what do you think? I mean, we none of us really know. This is going to be the real point going forward with him.
Yeah, and you know, for me, I look at how the two were introduced to us when they were hired, and Woody Johnson called Muji Aaron Glenn's sidekick. So I think, you know, Aaron Glenn's going to end up having a lot of say with who they end up inputting. Now, I think Muji and his staff will do a lot of the scouting work and a lot of the leg work. But if you're talking final say, to me, I feel like it's still Aaron Glenn.
Oh, that's discouraging to me. You know, I think Muji's going to be overruled. That's what I think. We're not going to be able to go forward after he's gone.
I don't think they'll do anything that Muji also doesn't sign off on, though. Like that's not my big worry. My big worry is they're gonna trade too many resources for a quarterback who's not their long-term answer, or do something stupid. I believe, like taking Ty Simpson at 16.
We know if they take him, who's good? You know, they're not going to develop him. That always comes to the fact. I mean, hopefully Frank Reich has some brains over there. I mean, because not most of them do. I mean. I have a little faith in Frank Reich. He has a past. I know you guys are sort of like put him in an age category there because in his past, you know, he wasn't too successful in his previous stops, but he's got to be better than what's there. You know, he's got to be better than what's there. So all we can do is hope that he's able to put an effective offense and we're competitive. That's the main thing. Just to get to the point of being competitive, it's just it's hard to believe. You know, it's just hard to believe. Yes, sir.
Mike wants to know, are you at Steamtown?
No, I'm not at Steamtown. Steamtown is about, maybe 4 or 5 miles from here. It's in downtown Scranton. I'm just at the top of the mountain here. This is the museum. Boy, you like Steamtown? Did you ever go on those trips? Go up to the Poconos?
I like Allentown.
Allentown? Yeah, my nephew lives in Bethlehem, not far from there. That's
sing
about
us a Billy Joel, a little Allentown?
No, I'm not a Billy Joel fan. No.
You're not a fan?
I mean, he was okay. He was, when he's married to Cindy Brinkley, it was okay. I mean,
Christy,
but that's a long time ago. Yeah, that music's good. I mean, that's okay. It's I have nothing against it. But something I'm from I like the, I'm from the old soul music. I like Soul Train, man. I like the soul. I like to get down with the soul music. Disco.
You're a soul man.
I'm soul. I got a lot of soul. That's what keeps me going, man. You gotta have some juice when you're older. Otherwise, I have too many friends. All they do is either they're gone or they waste away. If I can still
active.
What's that?
I said you got to stay active. You
got to keep the. When I went to Florida for a few weeks there, when I came back, they changed my whole work schedule. So you know what they say? Look out when I'm an early bird. They start putting me on these late shifts. That's me. So I had to go in and pretty much ask them, straighten them out.
There you go.
That's not a good thing when I have to go to the office. But I like to work. Hey, you keep going. That's my message to the young guys. We try to get Gorman going, but that's sort of like
is he a lost cause, Dave? Have you given up on Gorman?
I don't give up on I don't give up on him. He just everybody doesn't get it. I mean, he's it's not trying not to help him. We're trying to help him, but he doesn't understand long term. He's doing himself damage. You guys know, you're workers. You gotta keep digging. You gotta keep digging. I mean, it's not easy too. Hey,
we believe in achievement. That's why.
Well, that's it. We believe we want to be our best. We want to do our best. We want to be. We want to reach the top. Sometimes Gorman's got us reach the top by starting from the bottom up. Hey, that's how you get. Nobody starts from the top down. You got to start from the bottom up. We all did it, right?
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
We're here. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, as far as the Jets go, we're at the rock. I don't know. I hope that you think this is rock bottom, or you think it could go lower. I mean,
They can keep digging. They've proven that.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't take it really. 60, hey, this is going into my 61st year as a Jets fan, and last year was the absolute worst due to Rodgers' situation, pretty bad. You know, when we had a lot of hope and it went down the tubes. But the last 15 years, it's like I don't know. This is we're going 16 now. This is like a living football hell. You know, we're just like being tortured. This is torture. This is real torture. Hey, it's only football. I get it. You know, I get it. But it's this is something that's our distraction of real life, and we get to enjoy nothing. You know, we have no enjoyment. The only enjoyment we have is the fans that we have some kind of camaraderie. If the New York Jets had the camaraderie of our fans, they would win the Super Bowl 4 out of 5 times. You know, if they had some talent, good talent. But they don't, because they have no camaraderie. They have a terrible owner. They have too much influence from the outside. And I don't know. All we do is, we keep digging. We keep trying to reach upwards, and they keep digging lower on us. And that's not to be negative. Hey, I feel bad. I was talking to the other guys. I was talking about Boyd Green. So I feel bad for the younger fans, because they never had. I mean, after the Jets won a Super Bowl, at least we had good years. You know, we had years where we were competitive. We had John Riggins, who, of course, we lost by some stupidity. I mean, you want to talk about a stupid move? Losing John Riggins was stupid. You guys never got to see him. I mean, all you got to do is see videos. I mean, whenever I see Riggo, man, I think of that. Forget the Diesel. I mean, he was the Diesel before he went to the Redskins. I mean, he was top. He was unbelievable. He's one of my favorite players. About the only jerseys I have is Riggins, and my brother-in-law gave me a Richard Todd one way back in the 80s or Christmas. I still keep it there.
Nice.
It's sad times when I think about the Mud Bowl, But we've gone through a lot as us older Jet fans, and now you get to go through too much without just not even a semblance of hope at times. So let's just keep going forward. Jake, I appreciate what all Jake does, and Matt, you're one of the best content guys. And
thank you.
Shouts out to Artie today. Thankfully praying for him. Thankfully made through that stent job pretty good. So he must have had a good doctor. So the doctor of achievement. Thank you, Doc.
You're the man. Enjoy the rest of your walk.
All right, let's hope for progress. We want progress. That's it.
He thinks that Gary needs more shots upside his head. This cowboy hates when you don't believe in achievement. Well, they call him one punch Brigger. The moon landing was free. They call him one punch Brigger. His claim is not too dirty. Call him one punch Brigger. Hated Johnson's fight his ass. One punch Brigger. Cause he know they need them.
Oh, what a call from Dave Briga. A legend, Matt.
That was phenomenal. Just pure entertainment from the train to John. I didn't think coming on to your show today we'd be talking John Riggins, but that's what we get from the Jake Asman show.
The Jet fans getting a little crazy.
That's what happens around here, man. The Jet fans getting a little crazy.
It does.
Matt, I will talk to you on the roundtable with Richie this afternoon. Great job. As always, appreciate you hopping on.
Absolutely. I'll catch you later, Jake. Thank you.
Matt O'Leary with us in his weekly spot. Go subscribe to Matt's channel, Matt O'Leary NY. Post videos every day talking about the New York Jets. Open phone lines for those of you who want in on the show. David, I see you on hold, but it looks like your internet's a little choppy here. So if you could reset, I'll try and bring you on and we'll make it work for you. Anyone else, open phone lines for those of you who want in on the conversation. Reminder, we are going to do a giveaway at the end of this show right now for a Jets jersey of your choosing. Mangold, Keyshawn, Revis, Corbett, Curtis, Klecko, Joe Namath. Those are the choices for you. Last chance to get in. We're a little light on calls. I do want to mention that we're presented by FanDuel. I'll be at the Garden tonight to watch the Knicks and the Pistons. You could bet on that game at FanDuel. Knicks are a 4.5-point favorite against Detroit. Big litmus test game for the Knicks. First game out of the break. Detroit's beat them twice this year after the Knicks beat them in the playoffs Last year, Detroit went into the Garden in that playoff series and won 2 of the 3 games. So I think this is a statement that the Knicks could make, saying, hey, first 2 times we played them this year, we weren't at our best. OG and Cat didn't play in the most recent meeting. The Knicks had won 8 in a row going in, so I think they were just kind of okay with punting on that one. Tonight, everyone should be playing. So let's see how they look. I'm looking forward to it. Taylor D'Onofrio in the raffle for 5. Taylor writes in, what's stopping us from offering Breece 3 for 45 to show him we know he's a top back, but the Jets have failed at QB, and why his stats aren't better, maybe keep him from crying? Well, nothing's stopping the Jets from doing that. It's a matter of how you want to conduct your business. Can you get Breece for cheaper? And that gives you more money to spend elsewhere, right? It's a business at the end of the day. That's why I think if you're going to tag Breece, don't use the transition tag. Give Breece the franchise tag. Let him get the extra $3 million that comes with it, and then you're not worried about anyone acquiring him. You don't have to worry about that at all. That's how I'd look at it. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Appreciate everyone who's tuned in. Good stuff with Matt O'Leary in his weekly spot. VJF, veteran Jet fan, says all the power guys in the Jet leadership structure have stupid names. Woody Johnson and Brick Johnson, both named after hard-ons. And you got Jaime and Ira Anal Prod. It's Ira Axelrod, but I see what you did there, veteran Jet fan. I see what you did there, you dog. You dog.
Jets, Jets.
Man. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to review some tape right now on the show. This was just sent to me by the Gator McCluskey. Did Beastbreaker fart yesterday during his rumble or meeting of the minds with the great Robert C? You be the judge. Oh. Hold on. You got to see the visual as well. Sounded like a fart to me, though. Oh. I'm going fart. Oh. That's a fart. That right there is a grotesque act from a grotesque human being. And I loved every second of it.
Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah, that's a fart. I consider myself an expert in this by now. Man. It was great to have the great Robert C. on the show yesterday, though, folks. For those who missed the afternoon stream yesterday, a lot was accomplished. Oh. Unreal. Lee says that might have been more than a fart. Sounded a bit textured. Reese, Beast truly unleashed the beast. He did. He most definitely did. All right, I need some calls here. Otherwise, we will get to the raffle. I'm going to gift the membership because we're a little light. We only have 6 gifted during the show. So I'm going to gift a membership to one lucky listener. If you get one from me, you are in the Asmaniac raffle for a Jets jersey coming up at the end of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, one gifted membership from yours truly has just been sent, and it goes to listener E.K. Lampert. EK is in the raffle for 1. Veteran Jet fan says Robert C's afro is a 1 seed. If Robert C was a consistent caller, I think he'd be one of the top seeds in the tournament. He just hasn't called a ton. Paul O'Brien wants to know who just shat their pants. Well, if you're new around here, it's a guy who lives in his attic named Beastbreaker. Oh. That's who. Oh. Envelette says, if Dave Brigger somehow helps Beast, give him a Nobel Peace Prize. I agree with that take. Rick Kent says, that sounded what? Can't argue that. Cannot argue that. comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. Last chance to enter the raffle. I'm counting names as we speak. Marine Jet Vet in the raffle for one.
We had a great week of practice.
Marine Jet Vet's gifted membership went to Mr. McMoney. So thank you, Marine Jet Vet. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to count the raffle names, but I need a little time to do it before we spin the Wheel of Champions. So I'm going to go to a call. In the meantime, buy me a little time. Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed him shart himself.
Oh.
Now he joins us on the Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline. Hello, Beast.
We're on our way to Menards. It's a beautiful morning out here. 46 degrees, no wind in sight. Trucks are out doing their things. I'm about to go do my thing, have a little fun. This is the way the world works. We're gonna get some great picks. We're gonna get something really good. If we wind up with Bane, that's fine. We wind up with Mendoza, it's fine. But I don't want to hear any goddamn complaining from anybody that says, "Oh, we didn't get good picks." Bullshit. We got good picks, and we're gonna stick with them. Either grow a set of balls or get a grow spine. You can't do it, then get out my army and leave my base. There's a saying in this country: if you ain't got what it takes, then you know what? Get your pussy ass off my base, leave this country, and get out.
Language.
I've had enough. This country's red, white, blue, not red, white.
How dare you, Beast? This is a family show. You can't talk about this country. You didn't even have an American flag yesterday. Potty Mouth McGee over here. What are we doing? Black Gypsy. He sent in a gifted membership.
It's up to you, New York, New York.
What a country. What a country. All right, I'm almost done counting the names here. Black Gypsy, the most recent Asmaniac to enter. Again, we are going to be giving away a Jets jersey of your choosing. Hold on. Just got to update this. All right. We should be all set. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bring on the master of raffle ceremony, and hopefully Potty Mouth McGee over here won't make the same mistake. Beast? We can't hear you.
I was going to say, no ways! No, wait a minute! What's that from? Sister Act, 1992. Let's get to the Wheel of Champions and take it away, Bob Barker. Let's go.
It's
Party on.
time to announce the winners of the weekly Asmaniac Raffle. Let's spin the Jake Asman Show Wheel of Champions and find out which Asmaniac is winning an epic prize.
Well, folks, you never know what you're going to get with Beast. I will say this. I need my raffle music, baby. Hit it. Before we spin the wheel, another membership from the Black Gypsy has come through the pipeline, and Quill Ross is the recipient of said membership. Give him a hug, Black Gypsy.
I hug him every day. I hug him every day.
All right, good luck to everyone who entered again. We're going to give away a Jets jersey. Should you win, email me, asmanjake@gmail.com, your name, your address, size of the jersey you want, and most importantly, the player whose jersey you want among the Jets of Legends options. Big thank you to everyone who tuned in, everyone who supported the show. Membership, super chats means a lot and allows us to do it year-round and go to events like the Senior Bowl, the Super Bowl, and starting next week for the third straight year, the NFL Scouting Combine. On that, let's now get ready, because we have a Wheel of Champions to spin, and your winner is... How about this? The guy who entered before the show even started. Phantom Green and White is your winner. Let's go.
It's J-E-T-S, Jets. I love Fireman Ed, too.
Hell yeah, Phantom. Congratulations. You got my email, but it's asmanjake@gmail. If you don't remember, let me know which jersey you want, and we'll get that ordered for you. His first ever raffle win. He wrote, finally. How about that? He's not even a channel member himself, and he gifted a membership. Love that. Well, I'll tell you what. I appreciate all of you. Thanks to everyone who tuned in. We will be back this afternoon. Boy Green's going to hop on with me today because DT is unavailable. So we're going to reschedule Dylan to a different day, and Boy Green will be on this afternoon. So we'll talk some Jets with him coming up. I will talk to you guys soon, but I'm not going to leave you empty-handed. I got something that needs to be played, something I think that you'll sit back, reflect on, and go, wow, my day was better now that I've seen it. Are you intrigued? I think you should be. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Remember, you can get the show as a podcast if you don't already know that. And I'll talk to you guys this afternoon. Go Jets.
Gator, I need an intro, buddy. A cool intro, please.
Gator did write in something, though. Searching for an angle for you, Rob. Need you to be a little more off the rails.
I can get off the rail if he wants. Gator, get.
Ladies and gentlemen, joining us right now is someone with the greatest camera quality you will ever see. Robert C. is up next. Hello, Robert.
So I try to pull up your channel on YouTube. What the Jets need to do is win.
Robert, thank you for the call. I don't know if that's your camera, if you're hanging out with Weed the People, if you're in a sauna, but that was great.
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.